And so today I like to speak a little about this topic about blame, right? So perhaps some of you might have heard about one of the key research areas of this researcher. Her name is Brené Brown, a really famous researcher on the topic of blame and vulnerability. So she once said, you know, very famous a TED talk about how blaming is the habit of making other people or things responsible when difficult things happen to us. Right? So I like for us, right? So for all of you 60 to 70 over people who are tuning in to our Zoom right now, I would just like to kind of encourage you to just write yes or no in the chat. If you notice that when something goes wrong, the first thing you want to know is whose fault is it? Right? So when something goes wrong, right, something that didn't go according to the way you wanted, if you realize or you notice the first thought that came to your mind is like, whose fault is it? Then immediately we have a name assigned, right? Whether it's it our spouse, a wife or husband or our kids, right? Or perhaps a co-worker or colleague. I'd like you to just write yes in the chat, okay? And I want to just, use this as an experiment to point towards how common it is, for us to assign blame very quickly, when things go wrong. So, so based on the responses that I'm seeing right now, I am noticing an overwhelming number of responses that says yes, right? So keep it going. And so the next thing is, do you notice which person do you have in your mind, right? So, when things go wrong, do you notice if the name of the person that you kind of assign the blame to, is it someone that's close to you? Right. So if yes, you can share that. If it's no, who is it? Is it like someone else or is it yourself? Right. So this is really useful, right? For us to begin to cultivate awareness of those moments where we notice this as a very reactive and quick reaction, right? When things go wrong or things become very challenging to ourselves. So this is what Brené Brown once said. She said that blame is simply the discharging of discomfort and pain, right? So whenever we feel into this sense of pain or discomfort or even frustration, or for that matter, anger, sometimes, we begin to assign blame very quickly. So it could be two instances, right? So one is it could be ourselves, right? The other one could be others, right? So, and it often has an inverse relationship with accountability, which means when things go wrong, do we very quickly discount our own involvement in how things might have unfolded? Well, at least for my case, I'm noticing. So I just like to take this time to share our experience in the remaining moments that we have for this evening session. So for many of you who may have been tuning into this Mindfulness at Sunset session, I previously shared that I became a dad on Valentine's Day this year, right? And 4 months on, I am beginning to become more familiar, with my role as a new father to my son Erickson. And so there was this situation, right, in which at the end of the day, so we just started him on infant care. So what that means is we'll bring him to the center where the teachers will take care of him in the day while we work. And so most of the time, we need to prepare the milk feed for him, right? So so there was this night where my wife, passed to me this bottle of milk that she just express. And so at that point in time, I was really feeling tired, right? After a whole day of work and also engaging in different duties. And so at that point in time, I didn't really catch what she said. I took over the milk bottle, and I began to separate, all the milk supply. Previously, there was express; those were in the fridge, into 4 separate potters that we need to prepare for the next day. And so as I was doing it, I was noticing a lot of frustration, because at that point, I was a bit confused as to what I actually needed to do. And so when my wife came up, she was like, "What are you doing? Why are you separating all this into the 4 potters?" Right? And so immediately I was like, "You didn't really say what I need to do." So immediately I noticed myself very quickly assigning the blame to her. When actually, on hindsight, when I began to reflect, I actually had a role to play. So I realized why I was feeling frustrated or upset in that moment was because I was fearful of getting it wrong. And so that began to translate into the emotion of anger or even frustration. And by assigning blame, it was a way to discharge or release the discomfort that I was experiencing. Right? So inviting all of us to find a comfortable sitting position. Inviting your eyes to close if that's helpful. And begin to settle in onto this moment by inviting your eyes to close. So beginning by taking in 3 beautiful deep breaths. Setting intention to show up fully for this very moment that we have dedicated ourselves towards. Offering ourselves this space to connect deeply to what's within. Spending this moment to open up to the awareness of just noticing the posture that we are in right now, the nature or the state of the body as we come towards the evening of the day. And this sense of leaning in into exploring what's or how the mind is doing right now. Does it still feel like there are many thoughts in our head, our mind? Whether is it going through whatever that may have happened in the earlier moments of the day? Perhaps even thinking about what is to come in the days ahead. So connecting to what feels alive for you in this moment. Perhaps that's the sensation of the breath. So discovering where this breath might feel most alive for you in the body. Noticing that rise and fall of the chest, if that's where the breath is felt. Or maybe at the tip of the nose. Or sensations in our abdominal region, the belly. So here we are, inviting ourselves to ride on this wave of this breath. Letting the wave of this breath just carry and move us through each moment on its own. And as we do this, we may begin to just discover the quality of this breath as we begin to just hang out very kindly with this moment to moment inhaling and exhaling. What does this breath feel like to you right now? And in this space, if you do become aware that perhaps your attention has moved away from just this very gentle noticing of the breath, might be helpful and interesting for us to just pay attention to what our attention might be captivated by. So whether that's a thought that pops up or even a sound in your immediate environment. So you can just spend this time navigating this space of noticing all the different moments that our attention can be captured or captivated. Just acknowledging what this might be, not needing to make it right or wrong, fix it, but just observing. Including observing if we have any reactions towards that. So this might be expressed in the form of an image in your mind, or perhaps an internal dialogue. Maybe it might appear as words that just appear to us. And whenever you feel comfortable and ready, this breath is ever present. So leaning in into this physical sensation of breathing, breath by breath. So here we are, just resting in awareness of this breath in the moment, letting go of the need that we need to fix anything in this moment right now. Just simply welcoming the breath that arrives again and again. So beginning to expand this awareness to include the entire body, sensing into just how our feet is supporting us as we sit here in this practice, from the toes to the heel, sensations at the ankles, all the way up, including our calves and kneecaps, feeling into both the thighs, sit bones. Just how amazing that this lower half of the body has been supporting us as we sit for the past few moments. And expanding this awareness to include your entire back, including that acknowledging or whatever sensations there might be. So from the tailbone all the way up into the shoulders, down both our arms, elbows, forearms and hands. Sensing to the belly, as well as our chest. The neck and the face. So indulging in this body of ours, the support of the breath, and if you like to, silently taking this moment to thank yourself, thank this body, thank this breath, and all the previous breaths taken earlier, all the in breath and the out breath. Immersing ourselves in this attitude of gratitude. Just taking this time to pause and reflect on what's this practice or experience like for you. What are you noticing right now, in this moment? How do you feel? So when you feel ready, just beginning to wiggle your toes or move your fingers. And if your eyes are closed, gradually inviting your eyes to open. And as you do so, just bring this beautiful smile on your face. Just pausing, as we kind of sense the space around us, as we invite our eyes to open, as we welcome the light, things that we see around us. And I'd like to have this opportunity to hear from all of you, everyone who's tuning in to the practice that we have just done together as a group. What are you noticing? And as you begin to kind of unwind from that, if you like to, you may even just choose to allow yourself to stretch your arms all the way up. It's really helpful, especially during a seated practice. Stretching and lengthening both your arms towards the ceiling. And as you do this, you might just feel into the arms touching or brushing across the sides of the ears, turning towards one side, feel into that stretch, and perhaps just bending over to the other side. Take a deep breath in, stretching just a little bit more, and on the out breath, letting go. And as you do this, just rotating at your wrists, and just resting your hands wherever that's comfortable. All right, so spend this moment to share what was your experience of the practice. And the beauty about this is, when we begin to reflect of our experiences, doing the practice, we begin to discover and learn so much more, about ourselves in that space of time. And so mindfulness practice, in a very enlightening way, made me realize that actually I had a role to play, right? Why I began to assign the blame was because I was fearful of getting it wrong. And so this fear began to translate into emotions like frustration. And I realized that what's really important, as we begin to notice, when we begin to assign blame, is what are we feeling in the body itself? What kind of emotions are present for ourselves? So I invite all of us, right? If we can begin to just pay notice to those moments of blame and begin to just take a moment to pause and observe if do we have a role to play, right? To what extent, do we have a role to play such that, we can begin to hold ourselves accountable for how the episode might unfold itself.